Turn on the news, and Libya, when it appears at all, looks like just another civil war. Armed men in pickup trucks, smoke over a city, names of places most people can't find on a map. But to governments in the region, and to major powers further away, Libya is much more than that. It's an energy hub, a migration corridor, a weapons supermarket, and a pressure point in bigger rivalries that stretch from the Gulf to Europe. In this episode, we're going to zoom out. We'll see how different players, regional powers, European states, and global actors see Libya today. How they've turned one broken country into a chessboard, and why that makes any real peace so hard to build. Geography is destiny, and Libya has a rough kind of destiny. On one side, the Mediterranean facing Europe. On another, the Sahara, leading into Africa's Sahel. To the east and west, other Arab states with their own crises and ambitions. Before the 2011 war, Libya was a major oil and gas supplier, especially to parts of Europe. Pipelines and tankers connected its fields to foreign power grids and economies. That didn't change when the regime fell. What changed was who controlled the taps. Libya also became one of the main departure points for migrants and refugees trying to cross the Mediterranean. People from all over Africa and beyond started passing through its unpoliced borders, hoping to reach Europe in overcrowded boats. So when foreign powers look at Libya, they don't just see a domestic conflict. They see energy security, migration flows, weapons leaking into neighboring countries, and a strategic coastline. In other words, Libya is not just Libya anymore. It's part of three different maps at once: the Middle East, Africa, and Europe. Inside Libya, rival governments and militias compete for control. Outside Libya, regional powers pick favorites. Some states back factions they see as friendly to their own vision of order. Strong central authority, hostility to certain political movements, promises to secure borders and fight extremists. Others support groups they see as more aligned with their own ideologies or economic interests. This support isn't always subtle. It can mean money, weapons, intelligence, military advisors, and even direct airstrikes billed as counterterrorism or supporting legitimate authorities. For Libyan factions, this is both a blessing and a curse. Foreign backing can tip the balance in a battle, pay fighters salaries, or keep the lights on in controlled territory. But it also means your survival is tied to someone else's agenda, an agenda that might change overnight. Regional rivalries between different blocks of states play out in Libyan cities and oil fields. A militia's flag might represent not just its town or ideology, but the interests of a foreign capital hundreds or thousands of kilometers away. To the north, across the sea, European states see Libya through a different lens: fuel, fear, and flows of people. When Libyan oil production is disrupted by fighting or blockades, it doesn't just hurt Libya's economy, it hits European energy markets, especially for countries that relied heavily on Libyan crude or gas. At the same time, every spike in departures from Libya's coast becomes a political crisis in parts of Europe. Images of crowded boats and tragic shipwrecks fuel debates over borders, asylum, and security. European governments talk a lot about supporting stability and democracy in Libya, but they're just as focused on two very practical goals: keep the oil and gas flowing and keep the migrants away from their shores. That's why you see deals being made with whichever authority de facto controls certain coastal areas or detention centers, even if those groups have questionable human rights records. Once again, Libya's internal chaos becomes someone else's border policy. Beyond the region and Europe, larger powers also see Libya as part of a wider game. For some, involvement in Libya is about influence in the Mediterranean and North Africa, access to ports, military footholds, and leverage over sea routes. For others, It's about ensuring that rivals don't gain that foothold first. Private military contractors, intelligence networks, and diplomatic initiatives all overlap on Libyan soil. Sometimes the same foreign state is involved on multiple sides at once, talking peace in international forums while hedging its bets with different partners on the ground. From the outside, this can look like the international community trying to solve Libya's conflict. From the inside, it often feels like powerful countries jostling over a broken country, each trying to make sure they get a piece of whatever comes next. And because so many external actors are now invested in the balance of power inside Libya, any attempt to build a strong, independent central government has to navigate not just local rivalries, but the red lines of half a dozen foreign capitals. Put all of this together, and you get a different picture of Libya, not just as a failed state, but as a crossroads whose fate is tied to the way the entire region is being reshaped. In one possible future, Libya continues as a patchwork of zones controlled by local power brokers, loosely connected by fragile deals brokered by outsiders. In another, a negotiated settlement gradually rebuilds state institutions. If Libyan actors and their foreign backers decide they'd rather have one referee instead of 100. Either way, Libya is a mirror. It reflects what happens when regime change is done from the air, when foreign powers treat a country as a project, and when resources and geography matter more to outsiders than the lives of the people who actually live there. In the next episode, we're going to step back even further. We'll connect Libya's story to everything we've already covered: Iran's coup, the nuclear file, Jamaica's destabilization, the Arab Spring, and the wider web of interventions and airstrikes that still redraw the map today. If you've been following this series and you're starting to see the pattern, from Operation Ajax to the war that broke Libya, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this with someone who still thinks all these conflicts are separate accidents instead of pieces of the same design. Tell me in the comments, when you look at Libya on today's map, do you see a country in transition or a battlefield that powerful players are happy to keep broken as long as it serves their interests?